Where you going? Scribble strike.
Six.
All right, should we call the meeting to order at 1800 spot? We call the order. Roll call? Good. Oh, okay, from the last time. Roll call, Michael Alonso. He's absent. Mark Shackelford.
Legend is will be representing the department.
Okay. Francine Gonzalez.
Present.
John Pettis. Here. Tim Godwin, present. Scott Stilgenbauer.
Yeah.
Chris Lilly.
Yes.
Heston Klink.
Absent.
Absent. David Robigo.
Here.
Present. And staff, Todd Pryor.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
here.
And Ruby. Here. Oh, we have enough, right?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. Next will be a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item will be a consent agenda approval of the minutes of meeting on April 18th, 2019.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Carried. On item 5 under new business, in the May discussion on quarterly drills.
Question from the vice mayor. Is the subcommittee up and running, and should this be a subcommittee item, just making a report to the main committee? Because the subcommittee is the training committee, right?
So that's the
Yes.
three of them.
Yes.
Well, it was. I don't know. I haven't heard any discussion of it since, and I have no idea what the status of it is now.
So we'll just table that question until the new chief's here, and then in the meantime, what discussion do we need on this? Do we have one planned? When does it due?
We have a drill plan. We have a drill plan for 6/7 next month.
Okay.
We got number 9 at the east plant. We have a drill plan for that. We have some details in the mix right now. It works. I already saw them. We're gonna kind of give it a fine tuning, and we're let Scott look at it, and then give his input on what he thinks of the drill, and go from there.
Right. And we're just, concept-wise, we're keeping those under wraps until they are after they're done, and then we'll do a summary of the past ones, right?
Yep.
All right. So, what about the past ones? Have we ever covered? We already covered all the last.
We've
The
covered
past
all
ones.
last
Yes,
Yeah.
and we approved it in the minutes.
Okay.
Did you want to say something about Q3?
Yeah, so Q3, we'll talk about it in the subcommittee, but we're planning a asphyxiation drill at the chiller plant up there. So we'll start planning that in the next one,
Okay.
upcoming for Q3.
Oh, you got it.
Any other discussion on any of the drills? Okay. Move on to the B, discussion on funding approval for resolution, information only.
So, that's really, if I could,
Yes.
that's really just to get it in the minutes so that so that all of you can reference it. It's been shared with the public already. We talked about it the last time, but I just didn't have a printout to give it. It includes ore body studies, infrastructure improvements. It's our next stage of the project. Permitting impacts, and then the final environmental impact statement. That should take us through the end of 2020, we think.
I had seen that. That's great. That's good news. That's more investment. I think that's up to what, 2 billion now, or?
We're at over $2 billion now, yeah.
Fantastic. Chump change.
Right. Got to fight for every nickel and dime. so. Questions on that? Information on this?
Anybody have
You
any?
gonna be hiring more local guys? That's always a
We
question.
hope so. We hope so.
That's the standard Superior question. You hiring a lot of locals? Right.
We good on that item? Moving right? Moving right along.
I'll read this and ask questions later on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Training coordination with fire and police.
As I said, same thing.
This is the induction training for.
Oh, yeah, so this has come up that, one of the clauses that we need to provide induction training for police and fire. So, I wanted to bring it to the committee here for thoughts on, dividing those up into 2 classes this year. Instead of doing it as one lump sum, because fire is looking at certain things, versus police are looking at different things. Not as concerned about hydrant location and chemical storage, they're more concerned with, number of bodies and places, where personnel are at. So, is the committee kind of in agreement that we do separate trainings for police and fire?
Talking about quarterly drills.
No, the annual training, site hazard training.
Oh, gotcha.
So we're behind right now on that, so I need to get it on the books and get it done for 2019. So the thought was we'd divide that up into police and fire into 2 separate trainings, kind of focused on the certain different areas.
I think so, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'll start planning those, and you'll work with everybody individually on dates and best times for the departments. So.
What's the length of time for the training and hours?
It depends on, we'll work with the chiefs again, but, in the past, I think we've held it to 2 hours. We did 1 hour classroom and 1 hour site tour. So, try to limit it, but still get the exposure. There's a lot of stuff going on at Number 9 right now, so, fire, for instance, there's gonna be a lot more for them to look at up there. There's so many things, moving parts up there. West Pond, there's not much down here, less and less operations, so.
So why is this a requirement that we do this training?
It's a requirement, so, the officers and firefighters know what they're expecting when they come in through the gate, right? So it's a regulatory requirement that we cite, train you, but, know that everyone will always be escorted in, right?
Yep.
So this isn't, blanket just to come on and come on the property. You still should be escorted, and using ERT there to come on the property, so you're not put in harm's way, but it does, bring up hazards, and we discuss things, chemical storage and all those good things, so.
So we're gonna ask to have the schedule in place before the next meeting?
Yep, that works.
Okay.
Yep. So by the next meeting, we'll have dates set. Like I say, the training's gonna be done, but we'll definitely have the dates at
And
least.
this is the refresher one every year we do?
Yep,
Okay.
A little bit of lead time is always the best idea to get more reserves out, especially.
So there's no action needed by this committee?
no,
Question would be is if there's a fireman who can't make the fire one, can you run with the police thing, and vice versa?
I would leave that up to the chiefs. I'm gonna focus the training more on the specific, so they're not gonna get the chemical storage and police induction as much as those kind of things, so. But,
There's always somebody who misses.
oh, yeah.
Sure.
Always.
Okay. Any more on that? Okay, we'll move on to D, discussion on the annual emergency services plan.
I checked this, I believe it's about 18 months old now.
Yep.
So it's definitely due for an update. I don't know if there's anything radical that jumped out at anybody we need to change, so that's gonna have to be,
That's what cued our conversation.
Yeah. So, looking it over, I don't think we need to start from scratch. There's a lot of good work put into this. So, I think what we're proposing is that the 2 different departments involved here look it over and see if anything's changed or if anything that wants to be added or subtracted from this. And then we bring a new copy of the 2019 to this committee for approval next month. Does the month give everyone enough time to get it redlined and updated?
seems fine to me. Do we have a better working copy of this? I know there's an adopted plan, but I haven't been able to find it.
I have a Word document of this.
That'd be great.
If I circulate that through you, we could, or I'm not sure how to do that.
You send it to me and I send it out to everyone. If you send it to the whole group, it's open meeting violation, but if you send it to me and I send it out to everybody, it's not.
Okay. And then, does everybody know how to use red line strikeout so we can all see the changes of?
You don't want to use track changes, you want to do red line. So the strike through on your word, you can select it, strike through, and then,
Why wouldn't we just do track
And,
changes?
and even if you just use the hard copy, print a copy, and then just write on it what you're asking to change, then we can at least capture it.
track changes after a certain number of people get into it, gets really confusing.
Yeah.
And so if you have two people collaborating, track changes makes sense.
So from a resource standpoint, we don't mind marrying those up on our side for the next meeting. We have resources to help do that, as long as we have enough lead time.
Right, so to make that possible, we want it for the agenda at least a week before that, so you have 3 weeks max to do that. They probably need a week to do their prep, so within 2 weeks, you need to have all your edits to them. So everybody clear with
So
that?
you're gonna send them out, and we have the one you're gonna send to me?
He's gonna send it to me, I'm gonna send it out to everybody, we'll try to do that tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
Like I said, I wouldn't, look it over, but there's a lot of good workers. I wouldn't start from scratch. I mean, they're just, things are different, and then change numbers are changed.
Some of the terminology, I think we just need from our side, make sure that we say a little more clearly what it is our expectations were.
For the underground stuff, it's pretty well clear up. Just-
No action required, right?
No, just discussion only.
Most of the stuff is just discussion, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next item, discussion on NFPA certification for firefighters.
I know I sent this out in an email. Our firefighters have been pretty much 100% fire 1 and 2 for the last 15 years. As we hire new guys, occasionally we hire local kids and they get trained up. It take them a year and a half to get there, but they're generally probational until they get it. We gave you the full training book that shows all the training they go through before they get certified to wear the blue shirt, because the red shirt guys have to finish this book. So it covers everything that's required in the contract, plus about $1 million.
So pass the book around, or you guys probably got the book.
And we couldn't print it, it's a publisher or something, I think.
Yes, it's publisher file, so,
Yeah.
because so we can print it like little booklets.
And that's how we give it to our guys.
Yeah, if you want it to certify, you only fill it, if they fill it out and not want it to certify, you gotta get one to certify, whether we're blue shirt anyways.
The original question, I think, was NFPA firefighters, but it probably should have said equipment too, because it's both clauses, C and D in the agreement. Scott, did you want to speak on that, or?
No, I mean, just the thing is, where are we at with the department being NFPA compliant on apparatus and, the department as a whole, right? So if you look in the agreement, it says here, fire apparatus shall be maintaining compliance with NFPA standards for automotive fire apparatus, or shall be maintaining compliance with equivalent fire protection standards. So I know we've had discussion in the past, kind of want to bring Chris up to speed where you guys are at with that.
Right.
All our maintenance is NFPA compliant, we have some fire department still doing our maintenance right now,
Mhm.
and,
That's the new agreement?
no, that's
That's the
The
previous-
ambulance? Or no, it's for,
this is the old agreement.
Yeah.
We're still using Mesa, we'll do with Mesa for a while.
They're dropping us though, so we have to switch. But they're both NFPA compliant programs, so.
What about the apparatus themselves, though? Because that was the
Yep.
discussion, right?
No, they're up to what we're supposed to be,
What-
we get tested.
There is
Well-
an NFPA guideline that talks about the age of apparatus. And it's not a strict guideline, and very few departments actually meet it. In fact, Phoenix Fire has vehicles that are out of compliance with that. And they're a level 1 department. NFPA says at 20 years, you will have a full off-body upgrade of the truck, which is about a $150,000 operation. And at 25 years, you will replace it. And that is just not going to be practical for us, because you're talking, both those trucks are due for their off-body restoration. That's a $300,000 purchase. And to replace, but they're within 2 years of being replaced, which would be around $650,000 per truck. So I know of no department of our size that can meet that standard. It's kind of an overtopping. And we had discussed this previously, and we had pretty much come to the conclusion that that is it's not a meetable standard, and that we were going to, as long as they were maintained appropriately and they were functional trucks, so it wasn't going to be an issue.
And keep in mind, those trucks are in pretty good shape, they last play each couple weeks. So it's not like we're running them all the time. Mace's been doing a good job keeping them up for us. Everything works, everything's functional, all our testing's completed every year. from hoses to pumps to ladders, you name it, we got all that
So,
every year.
Scott, what does that mean from, our agreement is specific, but what we're saying is that we have wiggle room there. What does that mean for our agreement? Should we do a risk assessment?
Well, the committee gets to decide that, right? I mean, yeah, it's in the agreement, but I mean, I think it went to, we'd have to look back which meeting it was in, but the committee agreed that we wouldn't hold them to that NFPA compliance for the apparatus itself.
And I think the contract says NFPA or appropriate
Equivalent
standard,
standard, yeah.
equivalent standard. And ISO says that the truck is perfectly acceptable as long as it meets standards.
You're right, it does say with equivalent fire protection.
So
control
we went with
standards.
ISO as the equivalent standard, and ISO says those are still perfectly acceptable fire trucks.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So probably for future agreements, we just need to be more clear on that language so we don't back ourselves.
That was
up.
always my concern with this contract. NFPA full compliance it's a guideline, not a standard. It's also very aspirational, and very few departments actually meet it. We're talking grade 1 departments mostly, they're actually meeting NFPA. So Las Vegas, Phoenix, the big guys that have, you know, operational budgets for their truck acquisition of $10 million a year. So we just have to be aware it's very unlikely we'll ever be able to meet that standard fully.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that item? You know, on any of our other, you know, our PPE and stuff is pretty well, all
yeah.
NFPA compliant at this point as well.
Yep, with all the new tournaments,
Yep.
we're good there. So.
Yeah, and you know, the SCBA's, they're still passing all their flow testing and they're still compliant.
Okay.
And then we do have a grant in for the SCBA's and we haven't heard on that still yet. I don't know if that's good or bad. But
Usually the longer it goes for a small department, the better.
Yeah.
Hope you
Yeah.
get it.
you know, we haven't gotten a Dear John, we call it, or no thanks, but no
Yeah.
thank you, didn't get it, you know, so that's good news. You know, so.
Well, good.
And that-
Go to the next discussion, I guess.
All right, enough of that one. We'll move on to F, discussion on biannual inspection records review.
Now that is generally that was Heston, and it's actually outside of the scope of this committee, but I have no problem sharing all the information with everybody. That was generally done with Heston and Sterling, and they came in and they reviewed all their financial records and then.
It's not what the agreement's saying here, though. It says that town of Superior, the town manager, Superior Fire Department chiefs, or designees will participate in a biannual meeting with RCML, health and safety professionals to review Superior Fire Department's maintenance equipment records. for-
Oh, you're talking about that one. The financial review is a separate section.
Yeah. So I think the one Chris
Did we
was
have
questioning-
financial review on here somewhere?
Yes, it's outside of, well, not on this one, no. Because like I said, it's generally outside the scope of this committee. That's
Yeah.
something that management does with management.
Yeah.
That one sounds like it's not this committee either, that'd be a subcommittee function, where the chief and you,
Mhm.
that same subcommittee
Yeah.
could do the same work.
Yep.
And I
So,
don't believe we've ever done that
no,
review, so we're not meeting the standard there so we'll wanna get that scheduled, working with you guys in best time and we'll come up with who will represent us and we'll sit down and go through those.
That's inspection records
Yeah.
for maintenance and.
that would be a fair warning, that will take some time.
Yeah,
There's a lot of pieces of equipment and lots of maintenance, so,
We had done on that.
so.
So that may not be for the next meeting, it may take,
probably just get it scheduled right and come up with who's gonna participate in this and then we'll set it up and
sometime,
it might take a day.
Yeah, that may be a standard subcommittee that takes one section of equipment and focuses on that at one meeting, like, just the inspection and, and with the age records and the cleaning records for the turnouts are maybe one whole meeting. Then talk to the SCBA's, the SCBA fill station, and all these things, there are a lot of records and a lot of time. So a suggestion would be that be a standing subcommittee that does regular reviews.
do we want, does that require a motion to do that? Have us establish a subcommittee?
It's not on as an action item, so you can't do it anyway, but I think we can decide as a direct me as the manager to roll up a subcommittee and I can do that.
Okay.
So you're so directed, my subordinates, right?
Love that.
All right. Good on that one then? Yes.
Yeah, I
Adam,
think so.
anything else? Okay. We'll move on to G, be discussion on new contract with Supervision Fire and Medical for fire truck maintenance.
Council did approve this in the last council meeting. And I believe either tomorrow, last night or tonight, Superstition's approving.
You guys wanna just go through it briefly?
Yeah, okay, so this real quick here, Mesa Fire is no longer gonna work on our equipment. I asked them for a reason, they said they're gonna restructure their maintenance program, they wanna focus on their equipment, and they've changed some of their practices and stuff, okay, that's fine, I appreciate it. So I went to Superstition Fire and Medical, they had worked on our stuff before, the guy I talked to there, he was more than happy to take us on. We just have to have this agreement that he just talked about, that we, the council approved. And they're NFPA compliant, they have EVT techs down there. They got a small shop, but it's pretty much set up like the one with Mesa. We get our stuff scheduled in to work on our stuff. And they're fixed if we need to fix, and if there's something they can't handle, then we might have to go to Pierce themselves if it's something way too big for them to handle.
Yeah.
And they're also certified there too, so we got this rolling right now, and hopefully here pretty soon we'll get the final thumbs up, and we're starting going to Superstition Fire for our maintenance on our vehicles. We got some records, so record-wise, you guys are looking for on our trucks. They asked for the last 2 years of records from Mesa, so we gathered those up. So we got records coming right now to give to Superstition so they can look over our trucks. And I told those guys, we have a lot of maintenance been taken care of already, so it's not gonna be like a, you know, they come into a mess. They actually have, we have deep good trucks, and it's gonna be minimal stuff we're working on, so.
I really like Mason, how what they did for us, and they did a good job, you know, I know they're busy down there, they take care of a lot of trucks, and they also maintenance, how many other departments?
Rio Verde, Fort McDowell, and what was it?
I'll just do
And
it.
Superior.
And Superior.
Did they cut everybody else right now, or is that not going on? Or?
You know, and I know they do put our stuff on hold if their stuff comes in, or
Yeah.
their priorities, it happens a lot down there with all the trucks. Superstition don't have as many, and they're only doing Florence Fire and
That's
us.
us.
So, you know, there's less, I mean, they're smaller shop, but they're taking on less, they said they're not taking anybody else
No,
on.
because they, before we got there, I guess their management team wanted to take on, you know, take on Tonto or somebody.
Yeah.
And I got there and they said, that's it, we're gonna just keep you guys in Florence. And that's it.
It's closer to, you know,
Yeah,
it's kinda nice,
yeah.
not to be as far.
And the chief folks will be our interface, so we can actually we'll have a higher level member of the department, because it's a smaller department, to take our concerns to. So that's not always, always a good thing.
All right.
I used to work with those guys at
Any other questions on that item?
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay. Item H, discussion on NIMS, instant command training.
All right, I will take that to start with. As a part of things I tried to change when I was fire chief, Pinal County told us in order to be fully compliant with the NIMS protocols, NIMS laws, we needed to have a NIMS compliance policy for the whole town.
That's what this is?
Yeah, the administration at the time was not behind that and would refuse to adopt it. But it has slipped my mind and I have not brought it back since I've been manager. So it's very good you guys mentioned this. It needs to have a whole level added for your staff, because it just mentions town staff and the levels we need to train our staff to. If you look especially on, let's see, page 4, it shows different levels of staff that train to different response levels.
Yep.
To let you know, ICS 700 through 800 are all online simple classes. ICS 300 and 400 are week-long classes where you have to find one and attend it. So that should be reserved for command staff and should be fairly limited. And I have all those classes. Chief Perez, you probably got at least most of
Yeah, I
them.
got most of those other.
Yeah, we got all the online ones anyway.
Yeah, the 400, 300 and 400, I had to go to Sierra Vista to get 400, but you can get it through the state system. But all of our entry-level guys, as part of their training book, are up to the levels they have to be. We did integrate it with our training, even though the town didn't integrate it. So there's like the mayor and the vice mayor should both be trained to a certain
Yep.
level, and your command staff ought to be trained to a certain
Public
level.
Works people,
And so that's, you know, that's where we're gonna, it's gonna be a struggle for a small town to be able to do that. Just getting my public works to sit in front of the computer for an hour is a challenge. So, but I do think we need to get this done sooner rather than later. I have sent this document out to everybody, and it is old. This is 2014, 2012, I did this.
Yep.
I think some of the classes have changed. I think there's some updates that need to be put into this document. So I would ask everyone's help to go through this and see where we need to update, where we need to change, where we need to integrate resolution, and at what levels we need to put resolution employees. I assume that, like Scott, you probably have to go to the highest level because you'll be
Yeah.
part of the command center. But most of the staff there doesn't need that.
No.
So. But, go ahead.
Just curious, do we really wanna put resolution in this, or is this, I mean, we should definitely have our own system, I totally agree. But do we wanna put resolution into this, or?
This is Fed law. So emergency responders are all supposed to follow this protocol.
And I agree that all you guys should, right? I mean, everybody.
But
works
even,
in town.
even your emergency responders should, because the whole premise behind this is this is one nationwide system that everybody agrees to and everybody does. Whenever we have a multi-agency program, we all come together and we all follow these same protocols. They're not, it doesn't tie your hands in a lot of ways. It just says, when we talk on the radio, we're all gonna use plain language, we're not gonna use any codes, we're going to follow certain command tiers, that we're gonna, like 300 is all about unified command system. So if there's an incident that has more than one specialty, those people come together in a command group, command team, and they make the decisions as a team. But there's lots of levels you probably don't need, but at least the 100, maybe 200, would be.
We're in that, actively looking at doing 1 and 200 for the majority of the ERT teams, so it's an underground.
It's all
I'm
online
just
on the people.
curious whether we should put resolution in the town policy, and if we should just have
Well,
a.
resolutions and a lot of policies we've adopted for
Yeah.
this, so
Okay,
I don't have a problem with that.
alright,
Though you could, if you want, roll up your own policy in parallel with this and have your own stuff, and we just, you know, each have our own standalone. That's up to you. I mean, I have no problem with that either.
so I'm pretty sure I'm all the way at the command level. I was trained in the city of Los Angeles back in, right after Rodney King died, when was that, 92? The emphasis on our sites in LA were so that we could freely exchange information quickly. As soon as LA City arrived on site, they took command. But we ran our own command structure until they arrived, and ours would do the same thing, except for the underground aspects of that, where you don't have the expertise. And MSHA would come in and take over that anyway, and then they would be the incident commander. They would provide direction for everybody. So I think as far as an integration standpoint, to make sure that we're able to talk the same language and we organize ourselves in the same way, that's an important aspect. We also have the Rio Tinto aspects of the way we're organized, which is a little bit different than the incident command system, but we follow the same methodology, not the same language. We don't call ourselves incident commander, we don't call ourselves, certain titles. But,
Well, as a group, we've been working towards NIMS compliance anyway, because the smelter teardown was an NIMS compliant drill, which we're required to have, according to this policy, 1 a year. And it sets out a fairly meetable goal for the rest of the drills. It says we're gonna have, I think, 6 a year, 6 drills, 2 tabletops, and 1 full scale, which we're meeting easily now, I would do. Tabletops, we haven't been doing, and I'd like to do more of those. Those are great drills, especially during the summer, when you don't go out and
Oh,
eat.
yeah, you bet.
But we'd have to get some equipment for that, so chiefs might consider that for the next round of capital expenditures as a tabletop. It's just it's a box with sand in it, really. You get this little sandbox you get to play in. But there's other tabletop drill tools as well, so definitely something to invest in. Do we need to talk more about NIMS? Sorry.
no, I'm excited to hear that you're resurrecting the plan. I think that's an important step up for us, for Superior resolution.
The fire department's been trying to follow it for years. It just wasn't adopted as a townwide policy, so.
And now it is, the council has voted to adopt it, or?
No, the council has not seen this document, it hasn't been updated since it was rejected by the manager in 2012.
So does this committee want to bring it to the council for,
We need to update it.
Yeah, they did, for sure.
and then take it to the council for
Yeah.
adoption?
Yeah, we ought to update it, adopt it as a committee, and then to send it to council for
For approval, which would include funding, right?
this generally is something that's included in our training budgets. I don't think that most of the classes are free, except for 300 and 400, and we only have about 4 people in the room who need that. So
Okay.
I think it's an affordable thing, it's just a compliance and a follow-through training. You have to enforce these things when we adopt them, and make sure we're doing it.
Do we have a resource that is available to us that we're exploring on our own to see what that training might look like on our side? And that was the original thinking, is that maybe we can combine resources here, and we can satisfy each other's need and reduce the cost to everybody.
That would be great, especially if we like the Unified Command System one is something that was really relevant. It's Unified Command is pretty much focused on corporate incidents, large scale incidents. Like if you had some major, like a fire underground, and you had a whole bunch of responders on the surface, and you had a Unified Command. That sort of thing, putting on one drill for all of us to attend and getting a bunch of them trained when we would probably only be able to afford 2, would make a lot of sense.
Has anyone reached out to the county at all for assistance with this? And like
Not
Charles
since
came, or-
I left, I don't think. Mike Simpson in 2012 is the guy that dealt with this. He was the assistant emergency manager for Pinal County. It's the emergency management department that does it.
I didn't know you came from the county.
I did,
No.
I just worked with him.
Are you
He was-
talking about
he was
police?
pretty- Yeah, I was wondering if Charles couldn't help it, couldn't.
Chuck?
Or Chuck Knapp, yeah. that's
Chuck
it.
Grant, yeah.
They're
If you
doing
could-
a tabletop for an active shooter in the next week or 2
Yeah.
at the courthouse.
I wonder if they could provide some of this training for the town.
I guarantee they can, he and I talked about it before.
Sweet.
Yeah, I passed that info to Shaq, maybe he doesn't want to do it, I don't know. But it sounds like it's kind of a hybrid project between Pinal County, Office of Emergency Management, and Florence PD. But they've invited others to participate as well.
Cool. All right, maybe I'll reach out to him as well to see what they can provide us.
I guarantee he would go for it, because he and I talked about it.
Cool.
They were pushing everybody to adopt one of these policies in the whole county, and we were the first ones to try to do it, and like I said, my manager was not for it. So I don't know if anybody else is. This was their tester policy, so I don't know if they have an updated one. We may ask them if they have an updated model one, rather than trying to reinvent our own.
We're just gonna take that action then, is that chief or
I'll-
town?
I'll make the call, or do you want to do it, JP, or you want me to do it?
I probably can do this.
Okay. So this is another item that we'd like to have edits within 2 weeks, so we can try to get it to this committee for an action item next time. If it's not ready, then we at least have it in draft for discussion.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else on the ends? Discussion?
Good.
We'll move on to item I, discussion on workers' compensation insurance for all first responders that could provide service to resolution.
We do this, always have done this, it's not a problem. We provided the quarterly report, and I think probably what I'll do next time is just put it on the consent agenda. There's actually a full spreadsheet that goes with it as well. That you'll see the firemen and the policemen are kind of a little differently because the police reserve don't get paid, so they're put in a separate area and they're given a figurized amount that their time would be worth if they were paid. And then the firemen who are actually paid on top are grouped with the rest of the firemen. But the counts are there. We'll put it on the consent agenda on a quarterly basis. So every quarter, as soon as we file it, we'll just put it on consent agenda and you guys can
I
see.
think it's just important to get it in the minutes so that it's a record, yeah.
Absolutely.
Was this what we were talking about with that financial piece that you were talking about earlier, or was this
No,
something
there's a
different?
separate financial piece. And the financial piece, just to be clear, it was, the resolution does not want itemized reports. They would like summary reports, and then we go over the summaries together and make sure everybody's happy. So they want to continue to do that in finance, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need it to the detail where it's, dollars spent for this.
Just for information, all of that information is on our website every month.
Yeah.
So it's nothing, there's no secrets here. So you feel free to check that out anytime.
Perfect.
If I could ask a question on the website, when I load it, it's very, very slow. Is that something that
It's in development right now and it's being debugged, and they're adding modules and the modules are slowing it down and just trying to debug. But it's just, the old website was 2004 is when they built it, it was due for an update.
Okay. Thank you.
Move on to J, discussion and update on fire rescue 632 converter issue.
All right, I can.
Port converter?
Yeah, we actually had it in now for 3 weeks, I believe. They put a new port converter in the rescue. Haven't heard any complaints from anybody that it's making the same vibration it did the last, 2 years. The dealership checked it out, they said it was fine, our guys been running it. I haven't heard no complaints about it. So, to me, it's done.
Nobody's noticed any vibration. I've been asking everybody that's running it, you know, if they have any problems, if they heard the vibration or and nobody's. So at this point, it seems to be resolved that the port converter seems to be taken care of.
That was the final diagnosis, port converter.
Port converter.
I don't know how many times they go to the shop to find that out though.
It took a little while to get.
Is that the Mesa shop?
No, it's
was
Dodge.
really
It took a while to get everybody rolling, but, we have to struggle a little bit, but we got, check updates, ask questions, who I get a hold of me, we did a lot of calling, I did a lot of emailing.
Pushing.
Oh yeah, we have to do it, it's not, I don't wanna be one of those, they're get used to it, or forget about it, so we kept pushing, and took us about a year to finally get it. And I even said, once you guys pull, even one of 2018's converter, how different can they be? It's coming off assembly line. Oh, we can't do that because we gotta do studies, whatever you gotta do, man,
Getting done.
So it took a little while, but we got it. So far, the issue should be resolved.
Good on that one? Okay, we go to K, discussion on possibility of Cobra Valley Regional Medical Clinic Superior participating in upcoming drill trainings or exercises.
This was initiated by Superior Police Department. Shaq brought this up. And we were wondering if you had any more background on what exactly Cobra Valley was how they were hoping to participate in the drills. Do you have any knowledge?
I have no clue.
Did they ask? They were the ones that asked?
KVRMC manager Jason Graham has expressed an interest in the clinic becoming more involved in the community. Cobra Valley Clinic might be able to participate in any upcoming drills, training, or exercises. It says might, and there's no detail here, so. Absent Shaq, I don't know that we can really check for act on any way this. No, I do think that having more people is always a good thing, but they have to understand they're gonna have to have their site hazard and they're gonna have to.
So I'm, I guess, most
We have
curious
a
of
little
what
bit
they're,
of thing, yeah.
yeah, how they can participate, what
Community
capabilities they can do.
Did they want to be involved with the community, or do they want to participate in like emergency drills? I'm not sure.
It's worth exploring. I mean, we
Yeah.
want to build that clinic up, right, so we have more capabilities in town. I'm all for that. I mean, if they could have a urgent care in town and, have an X-ray
That'd be
machine and be able
Yeah,
to do
sure.
sutures and other things, I mean, it would definitely help with transports and everything else. But, yeah, maybe we want to go back to Shaq and talk to him and see if, find out more what.
Is that a conversation that who has that conversation?
Well, I think the contact point is Sergeant Shackford and this gentleman at the clinic, so I think we'll get them to develop a little more.
I think he sat down with them at one point.
Okay.
And so whatever this is something from a conversation from several months ago that they actually met and spoke.
Okay.
But, on a large scale, it would be nice to know what their capabilities were. as far
Absolutely, a
as-
list of what they could do for us, or if they were willing to expand or.
Might be something, even if they were after action, because, what if you had 3 minor injuries on the scene? We send our workman's comps down there if they're minor. So what if there was a dirty stick and do they know that procedure? Because I know they don't. So it might be a good drill for them.
Sure.
But I don't know, let's just,
Yeah,
we'll see what they have.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
We'll just put this one kind of on hold
Yeah.
until
Get more information.
Mark is here, and then we'll talk about it some more, maybe next one. Okay, and that was it on that one. Next item is adjournment. We have a
Motion to adjourn?
motion second. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. 18:39.
Yeah, if you wanna keep it.
I'll reserve it.
That was a quickie. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
Quicker than
for,
I thought it would be.
prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
There you go, exactly.
Did that turn off
Larry
already?
Mason's, email?
No.
Bill? Yeah, I read it.